right, everybody, welcome back to Cocktails, Code, and Conversation for another episode. You guys know what it is. Welcome back. We have a very special guest, and you guys know what I say about all my guests on this pod is that they are all special, but this special guest, Miss Alisha Scott. Welcome to the pod. First of all, before I let her introduce herself, don't y'all just love that intro music? I love that intro music. I personally love it because I made it myself, but it's the jam. I think it is.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good? It's pretty good. All right, Miss Alisha Scott, go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody, to the millions and millions of subscribers to the podcast.
No pressure.
It's only like 5. No worries.
Hello, my name is Alisha Scott. I am an identity architect at UberEther. I've been doing identity access management development for a little over 7 years, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Welcome. Thank you for taking the time and just having a conversation with us on this wonderful Friday evening. This conversation is brought to you by Whistle Pig. That's what I'm drinking over here. Wait, where's the camera? Camera's over here. Whistle Pig, the Identity version. Once again, shout out to Mike Kaiser. This is so good. And Matt Topper, I know you're jealous. So let's get started. So I always like to ask people, especially everybody that's in identity, right? Because this is my field. It's near and dear to my heart. And I think it's always interesting to hear people's backstory of how they got into identity. So tell us how you got started in identity access management.
Sure. So it's actually kind of a, full circle type of story.
Okay.
So out of college, I was working at Booz Allen Hamilton. I was helping them with their Windows 7 upgrade. And my father, who owned an identity company called Optimal Enterprise Solutions, called me up one day. I was only out of college for like a couple of months and was like, hey, Alisha, there's this new opportunity. I want you to come look at it. And I was like, okay, what are you talking about? And He said, it's an identity access management project. The government realized that they can't find people to develop on SailPoint. And so they want to train people. They want to train people right out of college. So I think it would be great for you to apply. You can write your own ticket in life. It'll be great for you. So then, I thought about it and I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't know what you're talking about. So I sent him an email and I was like, here are 12 questions I need you to answer right now about that. So after talking with him and he, was nice enough to respond to my email, I actually went and applied and then did a interview with the government people for the program. And it's funny because where I currently work at UberEther, Matt Topper was the one who actually came up with the idea to get people right out of college and teach them.
Right. So
I did the program. It was supposed to be 6 months training, and then I turned in full time. It took me less than 6 months. My first day was SailPoint training, and it was more of a learn by experience type of thing instead of, by textbook. So I was, knee deep in it, doing demos and then doing development right away, and it was so fun.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, shout out to Pops for giving you the hookup there. That is awesome, and it's so interesting to hear, right? Especially for somebody coming straight out of college, right? So for people who've been around, like me, they got the gray in the beard, right? Most of us kind of fell into this thing, right? It was like something we were like, oh, we'll help out, and then all of a sudden, 20 years later, we're still doing it. So it's very interesting to hear, and it doesn't surprise me that Matt Topper would, put together a program like that. I think good thing about Matt, he's always thought a little differently, which is good, and looked at ways to kind of further a project, past what people usually think about it. So that definitely sounds like something he would do. It's probably an idea he got from me.
Well, weren't you on that project too at one point, right?
So yes. So I was on that project when Matt got there.
Okay.
Actually, even before Matt got there. It's a really funny story. But as he was coming on and kind of taking over the project, I was on my way out. So it was funny. Last pod we were talking to Brad Toomey. We joked because apparently Brad had hired Matt at Oracle. And then like on Matt's first day, Brad was like, I'm out. So then Matt's first day at that project, I was like, ooh, yeah, I'm gonna be out. Like, it'll be great to work with you. Like, I think you have some great ideas, but I hate this place, so I'm out. Um, but no, and just it's I got a chance to work for a little bit, and then we just we've kept in touch ever since then. He's a really good guy. I love his mind. I love the way he works. He thinks, the way he goes about doing stuff, and he always does the right thing, right? Like, that's one thing that's very, I found out as I got older, that's rare with people, right? Like, and I don't necessarily mean like the right thing as far as like, well, I think it's right, but like in his mind, he's gonna go like, no, I think this is the right thing to do by this person, so this is what I'm gonna do, right? Like, and that's what guides him and leads him, which is a great trait to have. So,
Yeah.
shout out Matt Topper again for the second time in a row on my podcast. Shout out, no more, buddy, no more. Okay, so you go through the training, SellPoint. You start kind of, getting it. You start, geeking out, doing some demos, loving it. So what happens next? What's the next thing after that?
So then after, doing the demos, they started giving me actual functionality to develop. So they were like, hey, the customer needs a privileged user access workflow. Can you start doing that? And so, I started taking over that and working with the customer to get requirements and then turning that into code and magic. And so that's what I did.
Awesome. And what about like when you kind of got into it, right? So as you started working with SellPoint, you kind of start seeing the tool and how it works. What was it about it that kind of like it caught your interest? Like, hey man, this is really cool.
I think because it was something like I've never seen, right?
Okay.
In college, like they didn't really teach you about identity access management, and you didn't get to see the tools and things. So it was something new to me. And then just trying to figure out the ways that it worked well and the ways that it didn't, and how I could meet my customers' needs, really had me excited. So I really enjoyed that. And then also just learning how identity access management as a whole can be done, and then as well as with SellPoint.
Right.
So that was great.
Cool. And that's so awesome to hear. I mean, obviously I'm biased. I love this field, right? So it's been the field that I've done, for my whole career. But to hear the excitement from somebody who's like coming out of college and picking up on it and kind of, having that kind of exposure to it very early on and then turn into a career from there is really awesome. So we're gonna go back in time just a little bit. So before you even came out of college, right? Like what was, tell me about how you kind of just got into tech, right? In general, because we'll call it out, elephant in the room. Most girls, most women, tech, right? It's lonely. You look around, you be like, there's a bunch of dudes in here talking about Star Wars. What the hell? So, tell me about how you got interested in tech and what that was like.
Sure. So my family is actually very tech oriented. Like I said, my father was an electrical engineer. And my mom is an IT manager for a local retirement agency for the.
Okay, yeah, you had no choice.
Yeah, right. I grew into it. So every year from elementary school on, take your daughter to work day, my parents would religiously take me. And so they would switch who I would go to every year. And I would learn about kind of what they do and go see new places. One time I was in elementary school, they had who can name all the parts of a computer the fastest? And I won. And I was like, hands down, give me my gift card. So,
I need my money.
Right. I'm like, I won this. But no, it was great. My parents, we had a computer in the house. They really encouraged us to kind of play on it and learn and teach ourselves. And a lot of video games and all of that. I love geeking out on video games. And then I think, kind of as I got older, I realized that, I really enjoyed it. So in high school, I started doing like robotics competitions and TSA, which is Technology Students Association. So I was like the president of that and, going to Lockheed Martin women and minority days and diversity days and engineering days, and just really trying to submerge myself into it.
Okay. First of all, that's awesome. Like, I'm serious. It's great to hear that that was because you don't hear a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
Look, and obviously, I mean, age gap difference, right? I'm old, but like I had none of that. Like it was always like you had to find it on your own. And so I think it's cool though that you had, parents that were in it and kind of, allowed you to kind of, grow up in it and immerse yourself in it. And it's awesome that you took a liking to it and didn't go, "Oh, I don't want to do any of that stuff. I want to do something else." That's so awesome. So as you come out of college, right, and as you start your career, like were there ever like any challenges? Like when you looked around, it's like if you are the only woman, or like feeling like I'm a woman here and it doesn't quite fit. Like was there any uncomfortable situations or challenges?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Directly out of college, I actually started, like I said, at Booz Allen. And I had interned there the year before, but for their business development team. And then unfortunately, because of my age and the type of things that they do, working with CEOs of other companies, I was too young to be a full-time employee there.
Right.
But, I could be there as an intern. So they still wanted me to have a job at Booz Allen, but not on that team. So I got placed on another team. And it was crazy because I think I was one of the most technical people on the project and doing a Windows 7 upgrade for the IRS. And unfortunately, I didn't get to do anything technical. I got placed on email. So sending emails and scheduling appointments. And right. I think, it had a lot to do with, me being a woman and
right.
Probably also fresh out of college, but, still like that. But then I've had things like, I've been in a room full of male counterparts. Someone walks into a room, shakes all of their hands, and then doesn't shake mine. And so I'm sitting there like, hello, I'm still here. So just, little things like that. But overall, it's been really good. Okay.
That's fantastic. And part of the, I'm gonna be honest, part of the reason why I want to have you on the pod and kind of talk about this is because, and I've told you this, and so now the rest of the world's going to hear it as well. Like, we need to, there's young girls out there that need to see you, right? And need to know that sometimes it can be tough. Like we ain't gonna lie, right? Like it's just some people out there that just you still don't accept it. It's still going to be like some awkward situations, but it doesn't always have to be that way. You can find success, right? And you find something that you really love and be good at it. And so, we absolutely want that, right? We want, more diversity in this field because it's needed, especially in, technology, because the broader aspect of technology, because we need more perspective, right? The technology runs the world now. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to develop something, if you're going to, make a system for somebody, you need to make sure that it represents the way everybody's going to look at something. Yeah. And so we absolutely need more people getting involved. So I'm happy to hear that, you've had, unfortunately, there's been some aspects, but for the most part, it's been a good career for you so far, and you've got like so much potential ahead of you. So all I'm saying is just remember, as little people, that's it. I don't want nothing. Just when you see me in the street, just wave, like, hey, what's up? Wave. That's all I need. That's it. Yeah. So with that, tell me about what it's been like at UberEther, and some of the things that you've learned there, and how that's kind of contributed to your growth.
Yeah, UberEther has been a great place to work. Although I've known them for 7 years, I've only been working here for, I guess, a little over 3. And I just think, like you mentioned earlier, Topper just thinks differently. And I really like that. So he helps kind of push us to also think differently. Right. We're not just sitting here doing cookie cutter implementations. We're thinking about how can we make the customer's experience better? What commonalities are we seeing, at different customers that we can apply across the board, but also, help them get a good starting point without trying to figure it out by themselves. Right. Like, let's give them a good starting point, but also ways that, we can automate SellPoint, do Docker implementations and do CI/CD, just ways to kind of push the envelope. And I really like that. I think a lot of places I wasn't really pushed to go further, and here I am.
That's awesome. And especially being, starting a career. And at this point, you're about, just about like mid-career, not quite mid-career, but almost there, right? I mean, but it's awesome to have a place like that where you can really, number one, you can be pushed, right? And but you can thrive, right? You can go like, oh wow, I want to go do this, and you got a team and people around you who's like, oh yeah, like go do it, let's go figure it out.
And I think,
go ahead.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. No, but I think that's one of the great things about UberEther. Everyone is so willing to help you and teach because, I may do SellPoint, but we have people who are experts in things like Oracle or AWS. And if I ever have questions, everyone is just so helpful in, helping you learn what you need to, but also kind of go beyond. And I really like that.
That's
and
awesome.
then everyone's they're champions. Like, everyone's like, oh yeah, you do this, you go girl, you should do this, you'd be great for that. And it's just a really good, positive company.
Awesome. There you go, Matt. Free publicity, like Matt, you owe me a check. That's all I'm saying. All right. Or at least a phone call. Anyway, no, shout out to UberEther. I will say this, aside from Matt, everybody that I've met there has been awesome. And that's not even me, just, blowing smoke. I've met some really smart and ambitious and creative people at UberEther. And like, it's to your point, what I've noticed is it's that same kind of, theme that everybody's, thinking of something just a little bit differently. Like, oh, well, I'm working on this, but then I was working on this side project and we're going to do this. And I'm just like, yo, that's crazy, right? I mean, and that's needed, right? That's because, especially when it comes to identity access management, right? And in the typical, on-prem world or big enterprise or government, space, the use cases aren't simple, right? And so they require, customization, they require thought, and they also require that innovative thinking, because you could customize something to death, and then it's like, well, you're never going to be able to get rid of this thing. So how can I give you, customer, what you want in this very unique, crazy circumstance, but also do it in a way that's maintainable, and that 5 years from now, right, you can upgrade or be able to transition from somewhere else. So I will say, like, that's one thing that I always give the government space. I miss the challenges. Like, the challenges were super fun, right? Because they were just, you would sit in meetings like, you want to do what? You can't do, oh, give me a minute. Give me a minute. We'll figure it out. Like, it's just every day, right? You're just like, oh.
It's always a new challenge, always.
Always a new challenge. So what's tell me about like one of the most like exciting things that you've done so far, like either with SellPoint or like a project that you've had where you're just like, yo, that was dope. As much as you can, because we ain't trying to get the feds coming out to people now.
Well, I mean, I think probably one of the coolest things that I was, a part of was helping create the Docker instance for SellPoint. Because for my knowledge, before we did it, no one else had. Right. Everyone was using VMs or everyone was sharing one instance. And with SellPoint development, that's actually quite hard because there's a lot of collisions when you're running workflows, people changing identity data that you need to trigger something else. And you're reading the logs and you're like, why is all this extra stuff coming in here? So like sharing an instance of SellPoint to develop on is actually really hard. So coming up with the Docker development for SellPoint and being able to containerize all the different components of it, including adding Active Directory, like, I think it was really great. And it's helped us because we're able to spin up our new engineers quickly. Someone can come on board, they can be ready to go with an instance in like 5 minutes because we have it plugged into a Git repo, and then it just kind of pulls and builds, and it's amazing. I think that was probably like one of the coolest things.
Okay, that is cool. I remember hearing about that when I was still at SellPoint, and actually my team then and some other members were actually working on trying to figure out like the Docker builds, and I remember pointing them to Matt. I was like, hey, like go talk to him because I know you've got people that figured it out. Because I wasn't trying to learn Docker, and I was just like, okay. It just you get to a point where some people. I've got to a point. I'm not gonna speak for everybody else. I got to a point where I was just like, you know what? I've learned enough. I'm good. I don't really want to learn anything else. Right? I like my high level architecture. I'm good. But that's I remember Matt telling me about it, and that was actually the same time. Let me try and put a timeline on this because I remember him telling me about you, but he never said your name. And then I think I came out to DC for something, and I remember we met there at the customer site. And then I think like later, like 6 months later, I was talking to Matt. He was like, no, that's what I'm telling you about. And I'm just like, wait, what? But I just remember because he was super excited. He was like, man, like, you know, she's super sharp. Like, you know, she's picking up on the SellPoint stuff, whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, and it was funny because I was blowing him up because I was like, I don't really want to talk about SellPoint. I don't care. But you're really excited about this, so we'll talk about it. But I'm glad that we did get a chance to meet, and I'm glad that you're able to kind of like UberEther and yourself were able to kind of grow and kind of get that experience at SellPoint and kind of take it, you know, a little bit further. So now, like so 7 years in identity, right? Like. So if you look back on it and say, all right, you can go back in time and talk to Alisha before she started doing identity. Like what are some of the things you would say like, hey, make sure you focus on like these are like 3 things you're going to need to know to be good at this.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. Well, I think 3 things I need to be good at it. I think, well, okay. So understanding data and how it flows and how it impacts everything. I think that is so important because that's basically what triggers everything within the system, out of the system. The entire company is, you know, built on that data. And so I think telling myself, hey, really, really pay attention to the data. It's not just like, okay, I got what I need. It's right. You really need to know it, understand it, how it can change and how it can impact. I think that's probably my biggest thing.
Okay.
You gave me 3. That's too many.
Okay. However many you can name. Fine. I'll be easy on you.
I think another thing would be learn best practices. SellPoint, because it has a UI, I've run into a lot of developers who are very big on doing things directly in the UI because it's there. Right. And I think that causes a lot of problems because it's not repeatable, right? You don't have that repository of the change that you made. And if you're just making changes willy-nilly, who knows, right? Right. And so I've seen that, and, you know, people have tried to teach me to do it that way. And I've been like,
/debug.
No. Right. So I think, you know, really understanding that even though there may be a UI in SellPoint, may not seem like it, you treat it like any software project. You need to do the whole life cycle. You need to do code management. You need to do CI/CD, like whatever you can to make it repeatable and work for your customer. Do that. So I think that's something else I learned and wish I knew.
Okay. All right.
And then the third one would be, I mean, I don't know if this sounds weird, but like, I guess really just talk to people. I didn't realize how important the business is when it comes to a successful project for identity access management. Right. You can have the best technical people in the world on this project, but if you don't have that business buy-in or those requirements directly from the business, your project's going to fail. So I wish I really knew at the beginning how important, working with the business was, and really getting them to champion what you're doing, because without them, selling it to all the other groups, like it's not going to work. It's not going to be successful.
See, look at that. 3. It wasn't that Let's knock them out. So looking forward the next 7 years, right? What are you most excited about, right? There's an area that you're like, man, I really want to grow in this area, or I'm excited to learn this. Just kind of tell me about how you're looking at your next 7 years.
Sure. So my next 7 years, I'm looking at being more of an architect, right? And kind of helping customers see the bigger picture. So not being siloed directly in SellPoint and doing development directly in SellPoint, but seeing all the different components of the identity access management space that they have, and helping them and guiding them to find the right products or solutions that they need and using them correctly.
Right.
So I think that's kind of the next step for me, and how I hope to grow in the next 7 years is to really be able to hone in on that and provide the best solutions for my customers, not just for SellPoint, but for products across the suite.
Okay, that's an ambitious goal. Are you an ID pro?
I am an ID pro.
Okay, all right. They don't get a free plug this week then. Well, no, good, because that's I think that's utilize that Slack channel. That's going to help a lot. There's just so much. There's so many people that have a ton of knowledge on that Slack channel. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And definitely, I like the fact that you want to get outside of SellPoint. That's awesome, because it'll help you see, all of, the identity and access management, right? You start to see the and part of that, right? I talk to a lot of people, and it's like, it's identity and access management, and understanding the line between the two and how they all come together.
Yep.
Because it's very, like, what I love about this field is, like, it's, even though it's niche and it's small, there's so much to it, right?
Yeah.
There's so much you can dive down and understand. And I think the hard thing about it is the terms that we use, the vocab we use, like, we use a lot of the same words over and over again. So it's like, oh, that's access management. Well, I mean, it is in this case, but it's not in that case. And definitely, like, it obviously warms my heart to see somebody that's excited about, growing more and more in identity access management, because it's an awesome field. I really think it is. It's kind of like that. It's been the little brother in cybersecurity for so long, right? And I think now more and more people are starting to understand, like, the impact that it really does have, and how it can integrate with different systems and really help, your entire cybersecurity architecture. So
Absolutely.
Awesome. Looking forward to seeing the growth of the next 7 years, and getting you some speaking slots at some conferences. And,
Maybe. Look, this is the start of it, right?
This is the start of it right here. I'm telling you, this is going to launch a platform right here. You're going to be hooked. Matt's going to be like, David, what'd you do? I'm like, I'm sorry. Okay, so now we're going to change subject. Enough about work. All right. So, what do you like to do for fun? Like, what's your, like, look, stress out. I don't want to talk about SellPoint. I don't want to deal with it. What's your go-to thing to just kind of relax and get away?
Well, I love wine. So me and my husband like to go visit different wineries and try different wines.
Okay. What's your favorite wine? Red or white? Hold on, first one.
Red.
Okay. All right.
I'm sophisticated.
Okay, so in the reds, what type of red?
Like a Cab Sauv or a Malbec. I love a good Malbec.
See,
kind of bold.
This is why we cool. I knew it. I was like, yo, it's just all right. Malbec. We okay.
Yeah, love a good Malbec. So, doing wine tours. I love video games, so I'm playing like Valorant, or I'm playing on the VR headset, doing Beat Saber.
Right.
Stuff like that. I used to ride my bike. I've been kind of lazy now, so not so much anymore. Yeah, and just, spending time with my family and friends. Like, I'm a social butterfly, so I love hanging out with, my neighbors and my friends. And then I love spending time with my nieces and nephews and mom and sister and just everyone.
Okay. So what's the best winery you and the hubby have been to so far?
Okay, so that's an easy one. There's one in Virginia. And it's crazy because we've actually been to Napa Valley and we've made our own wine out there. But there's one in Virginia called Stone Tower Winery. It's in Leesburg, and the views are gorgeous, the wine is delicious, and that's actually where we got engaged. So has to be my favorite
Okay.
one.
Biased opinion, biased review, but okay.
It's really good though.
All right, let me check it out.
Brick oven pizza. I mean, yeah, you have to check it out.
Okay, all right, yeah. My thing is, so I got into wine, man, late 20s, early 30s, and I had Barry Chafin. I will never forget him for this. Barry, if you're listening, you're watching this, man, shout out to you. I appreciate you, sir. I was on a project, and he was determined, Alisha. Like, he was like, no. Like, what do you mean you don't like wine? Like, it was like I cursed at him. He was like, no, don't fix this. For every dinner we had, he would just order just like 2-3 bottles of like different wines, right? And he was taking me through, you're going to try this, you're going to try this. And he was like, look, the first couple of weeks, like, we're just developing your palate. So don't even worry about it. Just, drink it. I don't want to hear that you don't like it. Just drink. Like, bro, drinking all stuff. This is nasty. I don't understand this. So then, you start to develop palate. So I'm like, oh, okay, all right. We start working into it. And I just been hooked ever since. So, I love, hitting up a winery, tasting the different wines. I'm all reds. Like once I got into it, it's like, I don't even don't even curse at me and offer me a white. Why? What is this? What am I, 19? Get away. No.
Yeah, they're like, here's the Moscato. Oh no, I don't want that.
And so it was only till like recently, probably the last 6 years, that I really got into like the wine pairings. Because I would just drink wine. I'm just like, just give me a glass of wine, I'm good. But it was actually at a Ruth's Chris and I had a really good waiter, or there's probably another fancy term for him, whatever. But he was laying everything out, and he was like, okay, well, based on what you're having, I'm going to get you a cab. We're going to do this. And he's like, all right, now. And they were having a slow night. So he was like, all right, take a bite of steak. I was like, all right, take a bite. It was good. It's delicious. All right, now try the wine like this. And he was just showing me like how to pair it. And I was just like, wow. Like the fact that it completely changes the flavor of it, the color of it. Like you start to like, depending on what you mix it with, like some of those undertones in the wine will start to come out. Like I just can't, like, here's my take. If you don't like wine, you're just not grown yet. That's what it is. Like, you ain't grown yet. And that's how I know if I'm like, okay, you cool. You're still a youngin'. It's all right. You ain't grown yet. Because it's such an experience, like drinking wine. Like, it's like, it's the best thing in the world. So, okay. So hang out with family and friends, wine, video games. That's what's up. I was going to wait to see if you were going to say you was like a, first person shooter, if you was on like Call of Duty or Apex or something like that. I was like, hey, you might have to.
I do play Call of Duty. I play Call of Duty. And I ordered the PS5, so I'm ready to go.
You got the pre-order?
Of course.
Okay, here's the thing. And then I'm mad at myself because I saw it was coming out and it's like, bet, pre-order. I was like, all right, I would just get up at midnight. I totally forgot about it.
Oh, no.
And so it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm scrolling through Twitter and I'm seeing people, I got the pre-order. I'm like, oh. So now I'm just like, all right, I'm not going to get it till like January because I'm not even about to go through this madness of checking over here and all that. I'm just like, I'm just waiting till January.
Yeah.
So shout out to you to get the pre-order though. So I'm going to be hitting you up. I'm like, yo, what's it like?
Like, I'm playing Spider-Man. It's so different, right?
Well, see, that's my other thing too. Like, I'm as much as I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? And Sony does this every year. Their release titles, or not every year, but every time their release titles always suck. So it's like, I'm going to go out and go through all this and get it and be like, I mean, now look, the last Spider-Man was cool, but I'm like, I don't really just want to play Spider-Man for the next 6 months until I don't want to play come out. So I think I'm going to be better off anyway, just kind of waiting, letting everything die down and waiting until a good title comes out. Because all I do is play. I play first-person shooters and sports. That's all I play now. So Call of Duty, Apex Legends, something like that or whatever. Because, work is stressful, so I just want to go online and shoot people.
Hey, whatever works for you, right? Absolutely.
Look, this works for me. That's what I do. All right. So cool. We're gonna wrap this up. We're gonna get to the last segment of the podcast, the world famous last segment of the podcast. I'm telling you, look, I tell you, it's world famous. People from all around the world. Like I got listeners in Canada. Shout out Canada. I see y'all. We got people listening in the Netherlands. Like everybody, they hit me up. They was like, Dave, the last sip is like the best segment ever. Please don't ever stop. So we're about to get into it right now. It's called The Last Sip. Here we go. And so it's finally appropriate because I have just about a sip left of, maybe it's a sip left of Whistle Pig here. But this segment, I ask everybody the same question, right? So it's, what do you want your legacy to be?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
It is. Thank you. You can take a sip if you need to.
Yeah, I'll just take a sip. Okay. For me, I think I want my legacy to be impactful, right? So my father, when he was doing identity access management, everyone knew him, and everyone knew what great work he did. But it didn't just stop at the office. He was always giving back, and mentoring and teaching, and helping people grow. So I want my legacy to be like that. I want to help women and, women of color, just all types of, diversity. I want to bring diversity into identity management. And I want to help encourage young girls to be in the technology field, to do, even if it's not identity access management, just to do anything in the STEM field. So I hope that, with me starting to get myself out there more and, doing some mentoring, like doing coders and helping young girls. I want to encourage them and let them know that, hey, this is a great field to be in. It's great to be a woman in technology, and just,
Make an impact. I just want
to make an impact. Absolutely.
There you go. And that's a powerful legacy to have. And you are well on your way to meeting that. So just keep going, keep pushing forward. And, know that, and I will tell this to everybody, right? Like there's a community, right? There's a community here. There's people that got your back that are always pushed, that are always root for you and support you. And, I would say, the only thing I would change to that, I would say is this. In the next 7 years, just take over, UberEther. Just forever. Just go ahead and take over the reins. It'll be all right.
I'll take over it. I'll take that.
There we go. All right. So with that, we're going to wrap up. Hold on. Last step. Let me. Whistle Pig. I'm trying to tell you, man. If you've never had Whistle Pig bourbon, people, you got to do it. Got to have it. So it's the perfect way, to relax on a Friday night. So, to all the listeners, thank you for tuning in. This has been another episode of Cocktails, Code, and Conversation. To Miss Alisha Scott, thank you so much for coming on the pod. It was so great hanging out, talking with you. Can't wait till this whole thing is kind of over and we can go out to conferences again. Looks like probably Identiverse, something like that. Over. I don't know. I'll come out to DC, something like that or whatever. Me and you and Matt will go hang out, do something. But thank you for coming on the pod. So everybody, y'all know what it is. To the next cocktail, to the next conversation. Y'all stay safe out there.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.